This is TW Wrestling Talk here with another edition of TW Wrestling Talk. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever applies to you. Um, we're coming off the first edition of Monday Night Raw of 2013, which featured the return of The Rock and tables, ladders, and chairs main event match with Ryback and CM Punk. Well, they called it a tables, ladders, and chairs, but it was more like a ladder match. They're kind of mixing up the names a little bit. If you took any notice to that, um, yeah, those two big things were packed in the last hour. Well, it was more like an hour and 15 minutes, um, or more if you took a look at the clock after Raw ended. So, um, so yeah, it was longer than that, but um, it was an interesting Raw, I think, because on different levels, because you had that last hour and 15 minutes, and then you had the first 2 hours, which seemed like they were sort of effortlessly thrown together. Um, and I'm just gonna kind of go through this, everything on this Raw. Um, First of all, the opening promo was just, it was typical goofy, Cena-driven stuff. Um, it just seemed like it's only embarrassing Dolph Ziggler more, and it's not, it was goofy. Like whenever Cena has these kind of promos, and it seems like he's desperately trying hard to be funny. Um, it just becomes overbearing to me at times. I mean, like I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking, Art, can you just please shut up already? This is terrible, and it was just let's do the wave and all this. I don't know what it's just it didn't work. Um, and it's stuff like that that continues to you know drive that story into the ground, in my opinion. It's not helping that um you know that Biggie Langston doesn't fit in at all with those two. I don't know where they decide to put him into that story. um and it also they had a match then, which was all right, simply because I say all right. I mean, Dolph Ziggler had a few surprising moments. John Cena was John Cena doing his chain of moves, um, getting countered by Dolph Ziggler, and then picking up where he left off with that same chain of moves and whatnot. Um, and ultimately, there was attempted interference. Um, Biggie Langston and AJ Lee, they got thrown out. Um, then when the ref was down, um, Biggie Langston comes back out, interferes, does his finisher, um, and slithers away. And then a new ref comes out, tries to count the pin, and of course Cena kicks out. So Cena like survived multiple finishers here and beats Dolph Ziggler, um, with basically just the AA. So it really makes Dolph Ziggler look on a clear lesser level than Cena, when you should be trying to build Dolph Ziggler. I've been saying this for weeks now. The only victory that Dolph Ziggler has, the only up that you know that he has on John Cena is at the TLC pay-per-view, which was assisted by AJ Lee. Um, I this is becoming pathetic now, the way they're booking this, because every other week Cena embarrasses Dolph Ziggler either with a promo, um, or with a match like they had here, where Cena beats Dolph Ziggler. um, and looks, far more superior. So that's, that they can't go on like this. It's becoming another one of these things where, Cena sort of buries somebody. I mean, it's almost as if Dolph Ziggler's Money in the Bank briefcase doesn't matter. As if, he's just becoming another heel that really doesn't rise above to that upper main event level, that doesn't look, it doesn't come off as extremely threatening. Um, the way they're making it, it's as if, Dolph Ziggler, he'll cash in and then lose it that next month. That's how I'm getting. That's what I'm getting right now from this. That this, you know, Dolph Ziggler's not very threatening, and by now I think they're supposed to have made him quite threatening, and but it's kind of hard to do that when you're having Cena, pick up clean victory after clean victory on Dolph Ziggler. Um, you know, and it's just it's not helping. And promo after promo that's embarrassing Dolph Ziggler. It's just making Dolph Ziggler come off as another one of those heels um, that is not on a road to to great things. So that's unfortunate. But it seems like they must be so obsessed now with this. Oh, Cena's got to have a better 2013. It's not like he had a terrible 2012. It's just they want to twist it that way, and it seems like it gives an excuse to make them, um, you know, give John Cena, big pushes again. And it's unfortunate because Dolph Ziggler, you know, is not faring well from it. Um, and again, Biggie Langston, I don't know how he fits in with all this. It just bottom line is he doesn't really fit in with all this. Not that I have a problem with Biggie Langston, but it's just I don't understand how that matches up. So they gotta they gotta address some things here, and they each week I'm disappointed with what they do with this storyline, unfortunately. Um, and now here on main event, they're having Dolph Ziggler against Sheamus, and it's just like this big mess, and which brings up another issue that I don't want to get into again, but how they have to address the brand extension this year because it's really getting silly, and just a plain old mess. How they have different things going on all over the place, and they gotta. I think they gotta put a stop to that. Um, but anyways, other than that, I mean, the first 2 hours didn't have too much. Um, now I guess you had an interesting showing from Antonio Cesaro. I gotta give him credit. Every match it seems like he pulls out a new move or two, or you know, and he did like a corkscrew kind of uppercut, which was cool. And of course, then he did his finisher on. He hit it on the Greek Khali. So I mean, that was good for him. He's looking pretty impressive, and perhaps with minor gimmick refinements, and he definitely has potential, I think. Um, other than that, I mean, it was kind of forgettable, and it's a shame, really. I mean, Wade Barrett against Santino Marella. I mean, come on, people. This is this is not the kind of competition that Wade Barrett should be facing. I mean, Wade Barrett against Santino Marella. Come on. Uh, Wade Barrett this year is the year where I think you have to push him to that main event level, like you were supposed to be pushing Dolph Ziggler, but of course that hasn't been going the direction it should be. So that's unfortunate. Um, from there, I mean, I, I don't even know I'm not even remembering what else happened because it was that forgettable. I'm having a hard time. Usually, if it's pretty, if it's good stuff, I remember it pretty quickly. Um, in the last hour, I remember there was a Big Show in a quick, match against Kofi Kingston, which basically featured a knockout blow to end it right away. Um, but still, what are you doing putting it's such a mess the way they book things sometimes, and it just goes to show you that they gotta address this brand extension, uh, fast, because it's not making any sense. Um, here they have, this recent former Intercontinental Champion against the World Champion, and then one week it's the World Champion against the WWE Champion, the 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 WWE Champion against the Intercontinental Champion, the World Champion against the U.S. Champion, or the U.S. or the Intercontinental Championship, vice versa. The bottom line is it's a mess what they do sometimes with all these guys at different levels facing each other on different brands, supposedly different brands. And they gotta put a stop to it. I mean, it's just such a mess. They gotta have more focused shows, and that's part of it. Addressing the brand extension will certainly be part of that. Um, I say either do it like you did in the old days where pretty much everyone competes on Raw and then everyone competes on SmackDown, or they split it up. Um, and it's as simple as that. Or you could have right when they started having the brand extension, have if they merged the titles, had the WWE champion, they could be on both brands, whereas everyone else is kind of on one brand, etc. But the way it is now, it's such a mess, and they need to address that. Um, so that's the bottom line. I know this is kind of a pretty critical part one of this edition of TW Wrestling Talk, but that pretty much covered all to be critical of in that first part. Um, so, but second part will be a little bit better because it's going to talk more about that last hour and 15 of Monday Night Raw, which was, you had to say, was pretty decent. So, stay tuned for that part of, tune over to that part of this edition of TW Wrestling Talk.